Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality with mind mastery, emotional management, and meditation. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you more disciplined than ever. If you are not more disciplined than ever, then it is my intention that in today's episode I give you one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. So let's talk about discipline. Who the heck wants to talk about discipline? We're adults. We get to do anything we want. We could spend our entire paycheck on video games, chocolate, and wine. We could sit all day long, quit our jobs, and read books by the fireplace. We could do anything we want, right? Right, so we say, until we all of a sudden want to make some changes and we just can't seem to get motivated. So I have a lot of different influencers that I pay attention to, that when they come out with new programs, sometimes I run right out and buy them, or sometimes, but I definitely study a lot. I watch their YouTube videos, and I've been watching this guy for several years now. It's probably been, I bet it's been 6, maybe 4 or 6 years, something like that. His name is John Assaraf. And he talks a lot about the mind and getting the mind motivated to basically do what you want it to do. So many times we think that we are our mind, that our mind does whatever it wants to do and we just follow along. And that is simply not true. You are a physical being, but you are the housing. Your physical being is the housing of two very important things. One is your spirit that always has this desire to expand, which is why change is inevitable and change cannot be stopped. It is the only constant in the world. And the other is your mind, your thinking, your ability to reason and to design your life the way you want to live it. But your mind and your brain, your thinking, your ability to think, is an organ, just like your heart, just like your foot, just like your liver. It is yours. You are not it. It belongs to you, like your car. And it's such a great analogy that he uses. It's like having this really, really powerful car in your driveway, like this Porsche or a Mustang or a Rolls Royce, and you don't know how to drive it. That's your brain. Your brain is so important, but so powerful. And until we can start to use it how it's intended to be used, we really just kind of fly by the seat of our pants and just allow our lives to unfold however our brain unfolds it, right? Nobody wants to live that way. That's like playing a game by someone else's rules. I don't know about you, but I want to make up my own rules to my life. I want to do what I want. I want to enjoy my life. I want to create the things I want to experience, and I want to live life to the fullest. So at the end of my days, I have no regrets and I have nothing but joy about how I lived my life, the challenges that I overcame, the obstacles that I went through, the warrior quest that I accomplished. And I want the same for you. So how do we discipline ourselves when we're trying to overcome certain challenges and obstacles in our life? It was a few podcasts ago, I talked about becoming a warrior and thinking about the quest and preparing yourself for the quest. So when you have something that's in front of you and I want to level up and I want to change my life and I want to make more money or change my careers or go back to school or get a puppy or have a loving relationship or move out of the relationship that I'm in or become an entrepreneur or I don't know, make $1 million in the next 2 years, whatever your goal is. But that requires a few things from you. It requires you to step into the ring. And if you are preparing for such a quest, you have to prepare all of your faculties. And that includes preparing your mental faculty for getting your head in the game, not letting your belief and your doubts and your negative thinking prevent you from taking charge and moving your life forward and stopping you dead in your tracks. And the other is your emotional body. So when I'm facing a challenge, how am I going to overcome it? When I talked in that last episode and about becoming a warrior, it is thinking of the things that you're going to be faced with, thinking of those obstacles, and then preparing your emotional body to say, okay, if I want to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to stand back and I'm going to go, okay, but I'm going to end up with that sugar craving again. How am I going to overcome that craving? What am I going to do when all of a sudden there's a sign of weakness? How am I going to treat myself? How am I going to talk to myself? What am I going to do to keep the ball rolling in this direction? When I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do my workout, to train, to get my body in shape, how am I going to overcome when I'm really, really tired? What tool am I going to pull from that's going to help me to continue to move forward? So that's all part of the preparing process. But let's talk about what we're going to do to have this discipline. There was a few years ago that it was 2000, I think it was early 2011. Well, it was summer 2010, doesn't matter, that I decided I wanted to run a triathlon. And I had always done biking, not always, but I love biking, and it was one of my favorite things to do. Running was not my favorite, though I like shorter runs, like sprints, and I love, running and playing. The act of running is fine, but to go and just run for miles and miles seemed excruciatingly boring to me. And I do love swimming, and I'm a good swimmer. So I'm like, I'm going to put this on my list. I want to accomplish a triathlon. So I started researching triathlons, and the more I learned about it, the more excited I got. So I stand back and I look, I'm like, how in the world am I going to train for this thing? Like, what's going to be my regimen and my schedule? And at this point, I was a personal trainer and leading a boot camp every morning, 2 days, 4 days a week, but morning and evening. So I had a 7 a.m. Boot camp, and I had a 6 p.m. boot camp, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And I'm thinking, where am I going to fit it in? Like, how am I going to train for this triathlon? Because I'm training for my quest. So when it comes time to actually run the triathlon, I want to be successful. I want to feel good. I don't want to die on the hill. I don't want to drown in the water. And I want to be able to successfully complete this task. And so I had to think of these things ahead of time. Like, do I have time to train? Do I want to do this? How badly do I want to do this? And then putting my schedule into place, and then the discipline that came with it. So there was lots of things that I did to begin the training. Okay, the first, as I'm telling you this, now look at this story so far. Look at the story and see the parallel of the things I'm about to teach you. The first thing was what? I decided. I made a commitment. John Assaraf says, now he says it, but it's a quote from someone else and I can't remember who it is. He goes, take your goal and then ask yourself, am I interested in achieving this goal, or am I committed to achieving this goal? Because if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. But if you're committed, you'll do whatever it takes. And I'm like, oh, mind blow. That was so amazing, because now I can look at every goal I have and say, am I interested in achieving this, or am I committed? And if I'm committed, there's a very different mindset that goes along with being committed. So I'm looking at this triathlon. I'm like, I am committed. Once you become committed, your body just starts. It just like moves into the direction. It just gets excited. It gets geared up. It gets ready for action. So the part that goes along with that is your emotional being. So now I'm fired up emotionally, because then what I say, the more research I did about learning about different triathlons that I could partake in, the different lengths of triathlon, I didn't know. I'm like, I'm just going to run a triathlon. I don't know anything about them other than the 3 sports. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to research it. I'm going to learn about it. Ooh, I get to buy different shoes. I get to buy a bike. I get to buy all these things, and I love buying stuff, right? And so then I get to buy like a triathlon suit, which I decided to, like the wetsuit. I decided to buy this wetsuit. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And these like clip-in shoes for my bike pedals. And I get to, maybe I'm going to get a new helmet, or I'm going to get, so that was exciting. In that excitement shows my commitment, except where the work was during the training. Okay. So once I got that excitement built, everything else became a cakewalk. Like I just did it, and it just fell into place. Was the training hard? Yes. Did I skip training? I might have skipped a day or two, but I did get back in it, and I I rearranged my schedule. It's like, I'm going to train 6 days a week. And in this one day, maybe I skipped one. Well, now I'm going to do a double training on Friday where I'm going to do one in the morning and I'm going to do something in the afternoon. So I was able to find a solution to when I skipped it. So I did do 6 trainings, except I skipped a day and put 2 at the end of the week. So once you find the excitement, this is what drives that's like the gas for the car. Once I add the excitement, the emotion just gets in. But if you are not excited, let's say that you like, yes, I want to lose weight. Yes, I want to make $1 million. Yes, I want to quit my job or leave my relationship. And you're just like, I'm just not really getting excited about it. Then there's 2 questions for you. One, what is your why for accomplishing this? Why do you want to do this? What is your why that can get you excited? The other is, do I believe, this is kind of 2-part. Do I believe that I can achieve it? And has this been done before? Okay, so we take the triathlon experience. We could say, has this triathlon ever been done before? Well, yes. Do I believe I can do it? And I'm a resounding yes. With the right training. I couldn't go and do one right this minute, but with some training, I could go do it, right? It's December. I could train and do that one in June. That's, 5-6 months. I could do that one, right? So if you don't overcome that belief, get a bigger why or get a different goal or change the goal a little bit. When I worked with some clients when I was a personal trainer, and I would have some women come to my group and I'd say, okay, how many pounds do you want to lose or what's your goal? And they would say, I want to lose 100 pounds. I say, okay, how does that make you feel? And they're like, really, really overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, that might be too lofty of a goal for this moment. So let's chunk it down a little bit and let's change the goal and see if we can get you excited about it. Because if you're overwhelmed, you're not going to do the work. If you have a negative emotion when you're thinking about your goal, you are not going to do the work. You're not. I promise you, you will not. Negative emotion does not create a positive response. It just doesn't. Okay, it doesn't work that way. So then I would say, okay, how about 50 pounds? You get excited about 50 pounds? Well, it's less overwhelming, but I'm excited about the result, but I'm not excited about doing the work. I'm like, okay, how about 20 pounds? Oh yeah, that feels good. Like that feels, it doesn't have the same impossible feeling. It feels possible, but it feels challenging and it does kind of fire me up. Perfect. Let's write that down on your sheet. I want to lose 20 pounds. Because even from then at 20 pounds, you can still decide again, oh, I'm going to lose 20 more pounds, right? Once you pick up the momentum, you can continue on the journey. So once you get through the stages of belief, your belief then corrects your thought. Because if I started with, I'm going to do a triathlon, but then someone said, do you believe you can accomplish the triathlon? And I say, no, my training is going to suck. My results are going to suck. My behavior, I'm going to certainly skip out on the trainings a lot more. I am not going to get up at 5 o'clock. Oh, nothing. I am going to talk myself out of it. I'm going to give a litany of excuses. And then at the end, I'm going to say, see, I wasn't able to do it. Okay. I'm just reconfirming that belief. So instead of, when you have a goal, when you have a desire, is instead of looking at the behavior to change, John Assaraf says, look at the belief. Change the belief and the behavior will change. So interesting. And we've done lots of belief work on the podcast and on our calls. We talk about and we de-energize the emotional resistance and the energy that you have that's basically setting yourself up for failure. And we don't want to do that. We want to set ourselves up for success. So if we tackle the thing energetically and say, okay, now let's get to the point of what's the base, what's the bottom line, what is the base belief that I have that is creating the thought that I can't do this. I'm not what? I'm not good enough, fast enough, strong enough, healthy enough, pretty enough, girly enough, whatever. Now let's work at that belief level, because then it's, if I can do it, then nothing is going to stop you. Now I can make the commitment. So now let's say we've gotten that. We got excited. We've gotten through the commitment. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some action. I'm going to now research how people train for a triathlon. I'm going to watch videos. I'm going to listen to different testimonials about people who went from the couch to training for their sprint triathlon, and they were successful. They did it in 2.5 hours. And here's the thing. I'm like, yes, I'm going to follow what she's saying. Oh, she's saying I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, maybe I won't do that. Well, here's this other person that says I can do this, at 8:30 in the morning, or it really doesn't matter when I train, but you do want to work your food schedule out. Oh, okay, well, I'll do that one. So now I'm about to take action. And now my belief has been changed. My thoughts and my emotions are going in the same direction as my goal. I have all of this energy that is pushing me forward, which is like getting in the river and going the right direction that the current is flowing. If I can get in the river and go in the right direction that the current is flowing, I am well on my way. That's what we want. If you are begrudgingly getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to throw your gym suit on and go to the gym for an hour before work, and you hate every minute of it, please stop, because you're sabotaging yourself and you're not doing your body any good. So please stop, work at your beliefs, get fired up, get excited, get the emotion on track, and it will be a cakewalk. The results will be a cakewalk, the action, the discipline, all the steps that you need to be in charge will be easy for you. We want you to get in the flow. We want things to be easy. Now, next, we're talking about action. We're taking those action steps. Follow a system of success. When you ask yourself, has somebody done this before? All right. I'm not talking about the number one guy in the marathon or the Olympic, not marathon, but the Olympic triathlon, where he did a marathon at the end and he rode his bike for 100 miles and he swam for 3 miles. I'm like, I don't want to even do that one. I'm not trying to be an elite. I'm just trying to have a really good time. And I want to challenge my body to do these 3 disciplines and to accomplish this race, I want to say win the race, but to finish the race, right? And to do in a good time. Like I'm competitive enough that I want to set a good time. And I don't mean a good time as in having fun, but a time frame for completing the race. So I get online and I find this website that is all about these different training exercises. And now, was I a personal trainer? Yes. But did I ever do a triathlon before? No. So it's knowledge that I didn't have. And so I learned about these different exercises called bricks. These are when you do the 2 disciplines back to back. So a triathlon is swim, then a bike ride, then a run at the end. And a sprint was like either a 500 or a 750 meter swim. Then it was anywhere between a 12 and 25 mile bike. And then it was anywhere between a 2 and a 5 mile run. So a brick would be for me to swim and then bike ride, or bike ride and then run. And they call it bricks because your legs feel like bricks. Anyway, the point to all of that is learning how to follow a system. Now, if you've ever met me and know me really well, you would know I am not a follower. So this was really difficult for me. I didn't know anything about running a triathlon, but I'm watching this, I'm reading this, how this girl went from the couch to accomplishing this triathlon. She did it in 2.5 hours. It was her sprint. It was this, it was that. And she's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I just am not going to do that. I'm not going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's just not going to work for me. I knew myself enough, but the rest of it fell into place. So I made a couple of different variations and a couple of different changes, but it did affect my overall result. I don't know if the 5 o'clock in the morning thing would have changed, but I didn't work out 6 days a week. I ended up probably more like 4 or 5, reasonably, just because of my schedule and really, I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, but I followed a system as tight as I was willing to follow it with what she was saying. There were some things that I kind of polished enough to make it my own workout. Then what I did in the very, very beginning is her practice was like a 3-month training to a triathlon. I ended up giving myself 6 months. So the next step, and John Assaraf talks about this in his program, is reduce it to the ridiculous. And it's stupidly powerful. And the reason I say stupid is because let's say on this day, I'm going to swim I'm going to swim, let's say, 10 laps in the pool. And that was hard enough as it is, not learning how to swim, but swimming in an efficient, energy reducing way that doesn't provide all this drag. So I'm conserving energy for the whole entire race. So I had to learn how to put my face in the water and bring my chest down, because how I was originally swimming, like if I just had to swim from here to there, I'm like plowing through the water like, a gorilla. And it expends a lot of energy because water is nothing but resistance, right? It's like resistance and support. So reduce it to the ridiculous. I'm like, oh, okay. So instead of 10 laps, how about I swim 1 lap? And that's to the end of the pool and back. Ridiculous, right? So for today's training, I am going to go to the pool after my 7 a.m. boot camp. I'm going to change into my triathlon swimsuit, and I'm going to swim 1 lap. That was the only expectation I had. So of course, I go there, I change, I get in the pool, I warm up a little bit, I swim 1 lap. In 35 seconds, it's over. And I get out and I sit on the edge of the pool. And at this point, I made a decision. My expectation was to swim 1 lap. My direction to my mind was to swim 1 lap. I'm sitting on the edge of the pool and like, do I want to swim another one? And of course, you're going to say, well, of course she does. And I got back in the water and I swam 10 laps. The next time I went, and I'm like, reduce it to the ridiculous. That means it's easy. It's so easy. All I'm doing right now is developing the habit. That's all I'm doing. I didn't want to work it so hard that I was miserable. Because if I'm miserable, I now can't create a positive response from that. It's really, really hard to come back from that. So when I reduced it to the ridiculous, I had a choice. I could literally, if I was really tired, didn't sleep that night, I could go in there and swim 2 laps and give myself an okay without feeling guilty to go home, because I said, I'm just going to go there to swim 1 lap or 2 laps. And then I could go home without feeling guilty. But then as the months went on, I got closer to triathlon. Of course, I'm swimming 10, 20, 50 laps. Then I'm going out into the real water, because the triathlon does not take place in a pool. I'm going out into the real water, and basically my swimming training started over again, because you have currents and waves and weather to deal with in the real water. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to swim for 3 minutes. And then my alarm would go off and I would stop and go, okay, am I continuing to swim? Do I feel like it? Am I good? Am I good to go? Am I not gonna? And I would make those decisions. So when you are working your action plan, is to reduce it to the ridiculous. Write that one down, because that one is so, so powerful and it's so amazing. If you have to do anything, no matter what the job is, no matter what the task is, you're like, oh, my mother-in-law is coming to live with me. We need to clean out the guest room that is nothing but wall-to-wall boxes. This is really an overwhelming task. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and I'm going to do as much cleaning out of this room as I can in 5 minutes. When the timer goes off, I stop and I ask myself, do I want to continue or do I want to stop? I reached my goal of 5 minutes. 5 minutes, the timer goes off. Am I ready to keep going? And typically, because you built some momentum, you will keep going. And it's okay. You set the timer for another 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you want, and then give yourself permission. The last is to practice the new habit for 100 days. So a long time ago, I thought I heard that 21 days was the habit creating number. That was the magic number. But for some reason, it didn't really work for me. So John Assaraf says 100 days. Give it 100 days. That's a little over 3 months, 10 days over 3 months. And any habit can be created. Now you take that habit and you can add another simple habit to it, running it through the same training. Am I excited about this goal? Do I believe I can do it? Has it ever been done before? Am I committed? Am I interested? How am I going to accomplish this? What system am I going to follow for 100 days? I'm going to look at my results and I'm going to say, yes, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to polish it up so it fits me and my lifestyle and my desire. And then I'm going to reduce it to the ridiculous, make it so simple that an idiot can do it, and get it to a point where I'm highly motivated and feeling accomplished, successful, and proud the whole way. And then I'm going to do that for 100 days. At the end of the year of doing 3 new habits, 3 big, powerful habits that could get you to reach your goal, your whole life would be unrecognizable. What if it was put $1 away at the end of every day? What if it was doing 1 or 2 or 3 push-ups every single day of the week? What if it was to walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes? What if it was to do something with your family, spending 5, 10 quality minutes with one person that you love, making eye contact, giving undivided attention, setting a timer? What do you think your life would look like at the end of those 100 days? Amazing. The things that we can do if we just stand back and look and apply these different techniques that makes our life easier, but we're applying this new development, things in different ways that we can look at things and go, I'm never going to achieve that. Well, no, but if you're looking at it like, 100 pounds, that's a lot. $1 million, that's a lot. How in the world am I ever going to do that? Improve my relationship with my teenage son? How in the world am I going to find time to do that? You will find time if you stand back and you apply this very, very simple yet powerful technique to create higher discipline. If this is something that you're more interested in talking more about, please consider joining my Lady Rising group. This Facebook group is a powerful community where we're sharing in our journal and our journey and our struggles and our successes. Like, hey, I listened to this podcast and you're not going to believe what I've been doing. You're not going to believe what I have accomplished in these last 100 days, where my life was at the beginning of the year to where it is now, just past spring break. I hope you join us. Let me know what you're doing and what you're working on. Allow our group and me even personally to support you in this journey. If you liked this episode, please share this with 3 of your friends. And if you like this episode and look forward to future episodes, please consider making a small monthly donation to help support this podcast. If you're looking for a community to join and have more access to me, then consider joining one of my communities. Chakras for Beginners is an energy-based community that is highly active and growing every day. Lady Rising is a sistership community where the focus is on spiritual support and empowerment. We hold monthly calls and talk about topics just as like today's episode. We also have an online store where we can meet your meditation and chakra needs with products for your journey. You can visit us at www.themeditationroomtc.com. Thank you for joining me and being a valued listener.